Father Albert has been at UNLV for over 10 years now, his longest assignment yet. Robert Felice Pache was born October 21st, 1935 in Il Paron, Malta.
I remember when during the night we have air raids and the sirens will go off, and so my dad would collect us. We were 7 kids, and we run to the shelter. And we had, as kids, even though it was the dangerous moments, you never know when a bomb is going to go and where it's going to hit. But we were kind of in awe when you saw these Spitfires and these rockets, and it was quite a display.
At age 25, he answered the call and joined the Dominican priesthood in Malta. In 1960, he took the name Father Albert. It was the community of the Dominicans and what they had to offer that he liked the most.
I was very interested in teaching children about Jesus, about the Gospels and Jesus' teachings. And before I entered the order, I belonged to an organization. I was taught to be a catechist, and so I used to teach these kids probably from 1st grade to 8th grade. And we have them as an organization. We spend time to learn and then time to give. And I think that's kind of the seed of my vocation. But then when I met a Dominican and we talked to him about being a Dominican, and he explained to me as like the 4 pillars of the Dominican order, I was very much attracted to that.
The head of the province of California happened to be in Malta and invited Father Albert to go to the States.
Father Aegis, who was half Maltese and half Italian, I introduced myself to him, and I said, I'm Albert, and Felice Pache, I'm a Dominican. And he said, I'm Father Aegis, I'm the provincial. And he said, well, would you like to come to the United States? And they said, oh yeah. They said, well, take it easy, you don't have to answer me today. But I always wanted to leave the country to go someplace else to do ministry. And this invitation came out of the blue moon, and he said, well, I'm going to talk to your provincial and ask if he can send about 3 young Dominicans to the United States for 5 years. And here I am, how many years now? 53 something. Later, I am still here. 5 long years.
He always wanted to go to a new country that was much larger than Malta, and this was his chance. Father Albert is one of the foremost knowledgeable men in Catholic campus ministry. He joined the National Organization of Diocesan Directors and won the Foresight Award in 1987 for his national, regional, and local contributions to campus ministry. It is this experience which later allowed him to write his book on the matter.
And I said, well, I'm going to write an abridged history because campus ministers don't have the time to read those 300, 400 pages. But they can read something which is like 80 pages or something, not more than 100. So I just started doing research, and my colleagues, they said, Albert, you are starting this. We need the history. So we need something in our hands about the history, to preserve the history. So I was determined to do it.
His first experience in college was at St. Thomas Aquinas College in Malta, where he graduated with his Lecture of Philosophy and Theology. Next, he attended the University of San Francisco and received his master's in adult religious education. In 1972, he went to UC Riverside for his first 4 years of Catholic campus ministry. Then he became director of adult education in the Diocese of San Bernardino. 4 years later, he went to Arizona State University. Soon he found himself at the University of Oregon in Eugene, where he served 6 years on their National Catholic Campus Association Executive Board. In 1993, Father Albert moved to Tucson to work at the University of Arizona. He was the pastor and administrator for 10 years in their Newman Center and Parish.
There are 2 different communities. One, you have the student community, and the other one is the, what we used to call the permanent community. And I said, well, I want one community, the Newman Center community. So I start banking breakfast or the pasta dinners, lecturing and Eucharistic ministers. So this was a mixture of students and permanent community, and both of them worked very, very well together. Especially the community felt, yes, we can give to the students.
He taught various classes on theology. There's even a scholarship that bears his name. After a year-long sabbatical, Father Albert joined the UNLV Rebels and became director at the Newman Club. After the Interfaith Center became the St. Thomas Aquinas Newman Center, Father Albert was able to hire on more student workers, adding an additional Sunday Mass, and created the Blessed Sacrament Chapel. His first task was to remodel the empty building to look less abandoned. This marked the beginning of the Newman Center as we know it today.
I was kind of the manager. I told the community that we need to work outside and make it very nice and welcoming. So we had about 15 people who came and helped and put desert landscaping and put roses and flowers and other things.
This led to an increase of student involvement in the Newman. Father believed there needed to be a larger building to accommodate for this growth. With his God will provide attitude, he set out on a capital campaign. With this in mind, he went out and preached awareness at UNLV Newman Center to the entire Las Vegas diocese, where he was welcomed with open arms. Whether he was playing baby Jesus in an impromptu nativity scene, riding a donkey into the town on Palm Sunday, or even celebrating a cowboy mass, Father Albert's sense of humor always brought joy to those around him.
One Christmas I decided to be Santa Claus, and I had the elves with me and other students. And so one of them, I remember this little kid was crying, but then when I gave him some candy, he stopped crying. Local paper in Eugene, they called me and said, can we send a reporter and a photographer to do the Stage of the Cross with you, because we'd like to have an article. So so they came and they followed us and they interviewed me, and they noticed that the brother, who was in his habit, in the Dominican habit, was wearing Birkenstocks. And the following day, on Holy Saturday, I saw the paper, and the front was a picture of me carrying the cross. And in the article it said, the only difference between the procession from the Newman Center to this particular hill is that the altar boy was wearing Birkenstocks. And the guy didn't like to be called altar boy. That was some point. But I was amused to hear it out when I read it. The difference is that the altar boy was wearing Birkenstocks. They were not in the time of Jesus. But she came to Mass and shook hands with her. And she said, who are you? I said, I am Father Albert. I'm the pastor here. She said, the pastor? And you're wearing a 49er t-shirt and Birkenstocks? I said, well, it's 100 degrees today. So we became very friends. In fact, I did her wedding in Denver.
Over the course of his priesthood, Father Albert touched so many lives. He performed over 300 baptisms and weddings. One of his favorite priestly duties are pre-Cana conferences, where he prepares engaged couples for the sacrament of marriage.
Oh, that was a record. I had 5 weddings in one weekend, Memorial Day weekend. I don't remember the year, but I had 2 on Fridays and 3 on Saturdays. I was the only priest, and so besides to say the 5 o'clock Mass in the evening and hear confessions, then I had all these weddings. So that was my record, 5 weddings on one weekend.
After 55 years of being a priest, 40 years after his 5-year trip to America began, 7 different Newman Centers, and 1 book later, he has finally decided it was time for some rest and relaxation. Although he may have retired, he is still our priest, mentor, friend, guidance counselor, author, chef, and family member. His ability to bring our hearts and minds closer to another allowed him to leave his joyous mark on every life he touched. Now it is our job to pick up where he's leaving off and share what we have learned from him. Thank you, Father Albert, for your years of service and love.
And you know, wherever I have been, there's always memories of every place. A lot of good memories.
There's pictures of you without a beard, and then all of a sudden, like 2 years later, you have a full beard. What inspired you to grow the beard?
Well, I had that infection under my chin, and the doctor said, don't shave for a week. And I said, well, this is the last time I'm going to shave then. And so that was like 73, 74. And so I started my beard and I kept it on. Twice I shaved, one by mistake. I was going to trim my beard. Instead of picking with the trimmer, I picked a shaver, and so half of it here was gone, and so I had to shave the whole thing.
And then it grew back full the next day.
The
next day it was full again, right?
Not the next day, but in a week, well, I was already nicely bearded again.